Hello, magical people, and welcome to a weekly check-in. This is a pick a card tarot reading where we will be looking at your energy, the predominant current energy surrounding you, the dynamic between those two, as well as getting some advice from your guides. As I mentioned, this will be a pick a card reading, so we're going to be doing this by the elements: earth, air, water, and fire. You're welcome to pick based on which element you're liking today or which element is more predominant in your chart. You can of course pick one reading or more than one reading. And as always, please take what resonates and leave the rest, and always be sure to follow your own guidance. Before we dive right in, just another housekeeping thing, I guess. I just wanted to do a little bit of a channel update. I'm thinking that going forward, one of the other things that I will be offering is that with the daily invitations from tarot, sometimes 60 seconds is just not enough time to get the full message out. So there will be, I guess I'm kind of thinking of them as minis. There will be some minis that will be coming out soon that'll probably be between 5 and 10 minutes. Will be loosely based on the daily invitation from tarot series, and that it will probably be just a couple of cards or a few cards, if that's what happens to come out. And I'm thinking at first, at least, that will be sporadic and will just kind of like be peppered in along with the rest of my videos as the inspiration to do one of those strikes me. Let's see. Also, I am still working towards getting private readings up and running. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much ready to go. I just need to actually get a couple of final touches put in place, and then I will be offering that to you, and I'll be putting the information when that does become available in the description below. But essentially, the way it's going to work is if you want a private reading, then you would email me your question, circumstance, or situation that you would like the reading to be about. I will custom build a reading around that specific situation, circumstance, or question. And then within 24 to 48 hours after having received payment, then I will go ahead and send you a link to an unlisted YouTube video. So that way you can watch it and rewatch it and continue to glean further information. Sometimes trying to get it all on the first go can be a little bit much, so I figured this would be a nice workaround. So stay tuned as that becomes more of a concrete reality in the world. Still a little bit in the inspiration and thinking phase and not quite working towards the pentacles aspect of it yet. But having said that, we're just going to go ahead and dive right into this week's readings. And as usual, I will be going in the following order of earth, air, water, and fire, and I will insert a still with symbols at the beginning of each reading, as well as including timestamps down below so you can skip right to yours. All right, and having said that, we are going to dive right in to the earth reading. So earth folk, we are going to take a look first at what your current energy is. So a couple of cards, please, for Group 1, the Earth people, telling us a little bit about their current situation and circumstances. And we have first the Keeper of Challenges, which is the King of Swords. So I feel like maybe there might be a lot of thinking going on for you lately. We also have the Seven of Boons, which is otherwise known as the Seven of Pentacles. Maybe what you're thinking a lot about is about sort of reassessing the work that you've put into this point, and maybe doing a little bit of analysis as to whether that has yielded the results that you'd like to have, or whether it's time to change your tactics a little. And one more card for current energy, please. Oh, and 3 more cards came out, so we're going to take these all as one. Oh, and I haven't been showing you the cards at all. So again, we started off with the Keeper of Challenges, which is the King of Swords, and then we have the Seven of Boons, otherwise known as the Seven of Pentacles. And then the 3 cards that came out together are, we have the White Heart, which is otherwise known as the Fool. We have the Seeker of Spells, which is known as the Knight of Wands, and then we also have the Six of Spells, which is known as the Six of Wands. So for your current energy, yeah, you're a lot in your mind. You're maybe looking at the work you've put in to date and trying to decide if it makes sense. And then also, like with the Six of Spells energy, I feel like maybe you've just recently gotten to a point where something that you've been putting in a lot of work towards has finally started to yield a little bit of result, and you've gotten a little bit of success with that, and that feels pretty good. You've allowed yourself to try something new and sort of put on your learning cap, and you're starting to see some success with that. So that's some pretty solid current energy for where you are right now. Maybe a little bit in the head, but it doesn't look like it's in a bad way where you're overthinking. It's more like you're trying to get some clarity around some new things that you've been putting some work on and work into. So now we're going to take a look at the energy that is predominantly in your space. So a few cards for our Earth folk. Here we go. So we have the Ten of Pentacles and the Weaver of Boons, which is the Queen of Pentacles. So we have the Ten of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles. So yeah, there's a lot of family energy around you, and that could also be chosen family or close friends. But there is a lot of maybe calling on you to participate in and maybe help to provide, like you're an integral part of providing good feelings to the people that you spend time with. And there's very much this feeling of things going pretty smoothly. Maybe it feels like there's a lot of pressure, like with both the Ten of Boons and the Queen of Boons showing up. That's a lot of Pentacles energy, and especially whereas your current energy, well, it did have a little bit of Pentacles energy in it. It's mostly fire and air. So I wonder if maybe the energy around you is calling on you to be present. It's calling on you to actively participate in what is going on around you in a very real way, kind of calling on you to maybe get out of your head a little bit and participate along with everybody else. And then we also have the Strength card showing up in the energy around you. So maybe there have also been some challenges that have come up in whatever the family or friend dynamic is that is calling on your energy. And that's kind of putting, well, actually, let's hold off on that. Next, let's actually pull a few cards to see how the interaction between those two dynamics is. So again, that very earthy energy going on around you, very people-filled and very working towards concreteness or being called on to be in a place of concreteness. And then your energy being kind of one of reassessing and maybe a little bit less about taking action and more about trying to determine what your next action steps will be. So for the energy interacting between you, we have the Keeper of Boons, which is the King of Pentacles. So that's interesting that we have the Queen of Pentacles energy showing up in your space, and then the dynamic between your energy and that energy is very grounding. And also with the Ace of Challenges here, this is the Ace of Swords, that, you know, the dynamic between you might be that it's this you being in this headspace and then being called on by your community to be more present and be more participatory. That might actually jog some things for you and allow you to not only get into this place of being like happily grounded in the present moment and feeling good about it, but also have some new ideas, and it might shift the way you think about things. So if there are any challenges that you are working through in this reassessment process that you're doing, then you know, it's very possible that these people in your space will you know, help provide you with some new ideas or a new perspective on things that may actually shift you along. So we also have the Ten of Spells being the showing up in the energy dynamic between you and this energy in your space. And a Ten of Spells it's pretty overwhelmed, it's pretty exhausted. So, you know, of course, with a lot of new stuff, sometimes there can also be some overwhelm that comes from that. So I feel like overall, you're in a place where you are doing a pretty good job of taking that very like air, fire energy and, you know, with the encouragement of people around you, kind of grounding that into action and being able to have that fine line with that Strength card between both taking definitive action, but doing it from a mindful way, in a way that's very present. So there's a lot of good stuff coming here, but you also might be finding that it's just very tiring. And that makes sense. It seems like there's a lot of new stuff here because you've got, in addition to that Ace of Challenges, you also have the Fool card showing up. So, you know, it can certainly be the case that sometimes when things start to feel like they're moving too fast, or being called on, or maybe it feels like there's a lot of Ace of Challenges, there's a lot of Ace of Swords energy happening where our thoughts are turning over very quickly, that can sometimes feel a little overwhelming and a little exhausting. So next we are going to take a look at some advice from your guides, and we're going to pull some tarot cards as well as some oracle cards for that aspect of it. So let's see what your guides have to say in terms of best ways to navigate this energy, and also maybe best ways to how to find that place of comfort between allowing new information to come to us and be integrated into us without feeling the overwhelm that can come from that. So some advice from our guides. We have here the Four of Spells, you know, and the Four of Spells, that's also known as the Four of Wands. And fours in general are very solid energy. So your guides are saying, hey, with regards to your inspirations and your passions, try and keep a little bit of balance here. It doesn't have to be that you're moving from the Ace of Challenges to Ace of Swords directly to this Ten of Spells. Like, those are kind of the two extremes of something very new and very exciting, and then something being very overwhelming and exhausting. So your guides are asking you to call into play some tactics and strategies that you might have to help you stay in a place of balance. We also have the Fairy one, so they're wanting you to acknowledge and understand that even though while there may be a sense of overwhelm here, this reassessment that you're doing, this gleaning information from the community around you, this is actually going to give you greater clarity as you move your journey forward. So this is all happening. Of course, all things always happen for a higher purpose, even when that can be difficult to see. And then we also have, for advice here from your guides, a few cards came up. Ooh, all right, that's pretty sweet. So we have the Forge, which is otherwise known as the Temperance card. We have the Enchanter's Wheel, which is also known as the Wheel of Fortune. And then we have the Three of Spells, which is known as the Three of Wands. So, you know, there is, again, like, you know, your guides are kind of asking you to remember that, you know, you do already have skills and tactics when you are experiencing those feelings of overwhelm. You already do have some skills and tactics into the best way to manage that. And if you feel like you don't have enough skills and tactics, then your guides are inviting you to do a little bit of research and continue to find these skills and the life hacks that will work for you to better manage that. And then they're also letting you know that, like, this is an opportunity to really shift some things for yourself and to get a new vantage point as to how you want to move forward with things. And so I kind of feel like that's really pointing back to, again, that sort of where you are right now with sort of taking a moment of reassessment. So now for some oracle cards. Let's see, we're going to pull a moon card. See what your guides have to advise about the best way for you to navigate this current situation. And they say the energy is gaining momentum. So, and that is the waxing moon. So that is moving towards fullness. And so it seems as though things are still really kind of building for you. And that, again, might be why you're kind of experiencing this feeling of overwhelm, is that it's still adapting. Like, we are highly adaptable creatures, but during the adaptation period, we can sometimes experience some additional stress. We also have heighten your vitality. So again, being called on to just do some self-care, and especially when we are feeling overwhelmed, it's especially important to make sure that we're doing what we can to remember to eat properly and have somewhat decent sleep hygiene, or at least keeping our eye on those things so that they don't become too out of whack. I'm just gonna grab my water. For a Sufi wisdom card from your guides, what they are asking you to recall is that going beyond the ego and surrendering to the flow of life. Like, yeah, sometimes things aren't in our control and that overwhelm will come, but sometimes being in a place of trying to fight against the overwhelm or deny it will actually kind of just do more to get us sort of stuck in that rut. So sometimes surrendering, acknowledging, accepting that we just are where we are, and where we are is going to change as time moves forward, but not being in resistance to the reality of where we are. And then finally, we're going to pull an animal oracle card before we send you on your way, Earth folks. And the one that came out here is Parrot Spirit. Watch your words. And the specific message that's coming through with this is particularly kind of hearkening back to this King of Swords energy that came up right at the very beginning. I don't feel like this advice to watch your words is necessarily so much even in the way that you talk to other people. I feel like this, and that may be the case for some of you, but I feel like for most of you, this is actually advising you to be careful of the way that you talk to yourself. So sometimes when we are in a period of reassessing, we will be incredibly hard on ourselves and kind of self-hating and maybe self-negating and just overall a lot less kind to ourselves than we would be to other people. And so the Parrot Spirit is asking you to just be mindful of that, because the thing is that when you continually talk to yourself or anyone else in a certain way, that builds neural pathways. And so it's kind of like the road most traveled becomes the road that is easiest to travel. So when we're not careful with the way that we talk to ourselves, and we don't have a lot of awareness of our internal voice and the way we engage with the self, then it can kind of be, again, one of those things where we really get into a rut and it's very difficult to change. That is literally something I have been working on for years, is the way I talk to myself in my mind. So I hope you found this helpful, Group 1 Earth folk. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm saying again, but I don't think I actually said that the first time around. So please like, comment, subscribe. Do feel free to share your thoughts and feelings or any stories. I always love to hear from y'all. And until next time, please take care. Don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourself. Now we are going to move on to Group 2, which is going to be air. So we are resetting from the Earth reading. Almost just accidentally played 78 card pickup. All right. Group 2, air peoples. If you selected air as the element for your reading today, then this, in fact, is your reading right here. So we are going to be looking at your current energy, the predominant energy around you, which could be people, places, circumstances, situations. Then we're going to take a look at the dynamic between those two energies and go ahead and get some advice from our guides. So just to start off here, we're going to start off taking a look at your energy. So Group 2, air, and we have right off the bat, we have the Seeker of Challenges. So this is the Knight of Swords. And so that is very much an energy of trying to gain clarity. Sometimes this energy can be a little merciless. And it also can be very quick moving. And so let's see what else we got for your current energy. We also have the 5 of Spells, maybe having a sense of rivalry, and then the Keeper of Challenges, which this also showed up in reading 1. So this is the King of Swords. So you've got a lot of fire, air energy right now that is kind of guiding the way that you are engaging with yourself and the world. And it's interesting because with these two, so what I'm kind of seeing is that you might be in a situation where you're feeling some rivalry or some conflict, and you're trying to get to the truth of it. Nope, wrong guy. Trying to get to the truth of it. Actually, both of these guys, honestly, like, this guy is the Seeker. So he is the one that is trying to take forward movement towards finding the truth. This guy here already has a lot of innate internal wisdom, and he's already kind of ascended the throne with regards to thinking and logic and the way that works. So I do feel like maybe there's, this, if there's an external, or there's been something that's kind of come up for you that's causing a feeling of conflict, or it just feels like something isn't unresolved, or there's a little bit of, like I said, rivalry coming in, and you're just kind of like navigating and trying to get a better understanding of what is really going on there from a logical standpoint. So that's pretty interesting. So let's see what the predominant energy is that's showing up in your space. And we have the Green Mother, which is known as the Empress. So this is very not airy energy. This is very different energy than the energy you're having. These cards, there's a lot about logic and wisdom and conflict and trying to understand. And this is less about understanding and more about just showing up and nurturing. So we also have the Strength card, which, interesting, also showed up in the first reading for fire. And then we have the Two of Spells. So it seems as though there's a lot of like in your space, and again, this can be, this energy can be embodied in a person, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. It can be one of those situations where like synchronicities keep bringing you back to the same thing, and that will happen when energy is predominantly in our space. So it can be existent within another person, but it can also just be more amorphously showing up in the experiences that we have. But there's a lot of intention setting, there's a lot of nurturing energy, there's a lot of compassion and trying to sort of attain a sense of like success, not through like stoicism or anything like that, but attaining success more through having an understanding and compassion for what is going on in the moment. So now let's take a look at how those two dynamics are playing out and what the dynamic is between those two. Because like I said, they are very different energy. Very curious to see. Pardon me. We've got the oldest one, which is known as the Hierophant. And then we also have the Six of Challenges and the Starlight card. Oh, wow. That's cool. So you might be challenged. You might be feeling challenged by the space that, or by the energy that is showing up around you. And it may feel a little bit like you are out of your depth in some way. But the Hierophant, this is ancient knowledge. So, and it's ancient knowledge that resonates. And so it can also show up in terms of power structures. So, maybe I'm wondering if this energy, this nurturing energy, this energy that's asking you to set intentions and that's asking you to show up in a certain way, it seems as though the dynamic between those two is really showing up for the purpose of teaching you a very important lesson. So I wonder, and again, not everything will resonate with everybody, so take what resonates, leave the rest. But I do wonder, like I said, your energy is showing up being very much of being in the mind and being in the logic and the thinking. And the energy that's showing up in your space is very emotional energy. There's a lot less thinking and a lot more about feeling. And so I wonder if that is one of the invitations that you are getting from your life right now, is to allow yourself to get in touch with your deeper emotions, your deeper feelings, your deeper intuitions. Like, this is all showing up to teach. And not only just to teach, but for the purpose of, like, the Star card is like integration. Like, integration and healing has happened to a point that we are able to actually reach out for the star. The star, it's wish fulfillment, is essentially what it is. So that is, it seems as though the dynamic here is like, you're over here, this energy is over here, and the dynamic between the two is actually very healing. Like you're almost being asked to step out of the space of being in pure logic and pure thought and more into the space of embodying self and embodying the goodness that you already have, that maybe because it feels vulnerable, you don't let it out very often. And for some reason, I was just thinking in my mind of a friend who used to describe herself as, being like a Mack truck on the outside, but full of squishy marshmallow on the inside of that Mack truck. And so it might be kind of a situation like that, where you don't, like, you may know that you have a, mushy emotional center, but because of whatever reasons, life, being burned, whatever the case may be, you don't often feel like it's okay to be vulnerable and to be that soft in situations. And so, the dynamic is kind of showing you that even though it may feel a little overwhelming, it may feel like you are a little bit out of your depth with this, that the greater reality is that this is being shown to you for the purpose of you learning how to integrate those two things a bit more, which allows you to kind of like level up as a human being. And when we level up as a human being, that allows us to get in touch even more with the resonance that lies within us and the things that we resonate to. So now we're gonna get some advice, some advice from your guides. And that's interesting. That card also showed up in the first reading. So we have the Ace of Challenges, new ways of looking at things and new perspectives. We have the Four of Cups, maybe being overly focused on what's in front of us to the exclusion of what's kind of happening in the peripheral. And also the Weaver of Visions, and then the Five of Challenges, which is the Five of Swords. So I do feel like your guides are asking you to use a little bit of discernment. And again, it's interesting. I'm putting these three cards together here because I feel like what your guides are inviting you to do is, there's this energy, which is very outward looking. The Weaver of Visions is also known as the Knight of Cups. Sorry, I just totally had a moment there. It's known as the Knight of Cups, and so this is all about having a new emotional truth, right? Having a new emotional understanding. I oftentimes actually kind of think of this as one of the cards that can be indicative of making strides towards our journey of like self-love and self-acceptance. So this is very like outward looking, forward moving, and this is very inward looking, sort of hyper focused. So for those of you who are also into MBTI and Jungian typology and that sort of thing, I'm kind of looking at these two cards as like, this one has a more of like an NI kind of feeling where it's like very focused in, and this one has more of like an NE feeling where it's very focused outward and open to possibilities. And so your guides are asking you to take those two energies, which may feel like in some ways they conflict a little bit, and actually merge them into an entirely new perspective. Having an understanding that neither is emotional fulfillment outside of us solely, nor is emotional fulfillment, unless you are a rare human being, entirely within us. But it's a matter of managing the internal and the external and getting a certain degree of like kind of getting everybody on board, with the same sort of thing. And that will yield new ways of looking things and new ideas that will allow us to kind of like, again, I feel like this is group 2 air people. I feel like you're in a place where you're at the cusp of really leveling up in some pretty important ways in terms of like integrating experiences. So now we're also going to, before we send you on your way, we're going to also pull some oracle cards, and we have maintaining your childlike spirit, which again, I feel like this is just sort of reiterating that setting your intentions to not be so completely in your mind that you lose touch with what you want and what you are actually moving towards. So that is, maintaining your childlike spirit, maintaining that, being in touch with like the FI, being in touch with what you actually want and how you actually feel about it. We also have, two came out here. We have working through your fears. Sorry, there we go. Working through your fears, and also the answers you need are coming. So I really like that both of these cards came out together, even though my intention was to only pick one oracle card from this deck, because I feel like maybe that's because your guides are recognizing that not only do you need to understand that it's time to work a little bit on some of those fears, maybe for some of you that fear will be around vulnerability, but that also that will allow you to glean some information. The answers you're looking for are coming. And so, by kind of putting yourself out there a little bit, by detaching a little bit from the pure logic and allowing yourself to integrate more with the emotional aspects of that is going to, again, yield some change for you. Next, we have Oracle deck from the Sufi Wisdom deck. And this is trusting your gut feeling. Let your heart lead you to who you are. And what a beautiful and concise way to sum up this whole reading. I feel like that is really it. Like, we can have an understanding of how we think about things, but if we don't have an understanding also of how we feel about things, then we don't really have a very full picture of who we actually are, because we're only looking at half of the map. And if you're only looking at half of the map, then you're going to miss some pretty important stuff. And as a final message, we have an animal oracle card for our air people. Woo! And it is, I like it. Bobcat spirit. I don't know that I've pulled this one recently. Life is a mystery. And I think that is, again, encouraging us to lean to the intuitive, emotional aspects of ourselves and let ourselves become the next iteration of who we're going to be. So group 2, air folk, I hope you found this helpful. I hope that it resonated for you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please do feel free to share your stories. I'm always so excited to hear about people. And till next time, take care. Please don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourself. And we are moving on to group 3, which is gonna be the water babies. Whoa. Water babies. Messages we have for our water babies. Alrighty. Hello, group 3. If you selected water as the element that you wanted your reading for this week, then this, in fact, is going to be the reading for you. And we are going to be looking at your energy, the predominant energy that your guides want to call your attention to that's showing up in your space. That can be showing up through a person or a situation or a circumstance. Then we're also going to be looking at the dynamic between those two energies, as well as getting some advice from our guides. So, having said that, we are going to dive right in. So, group 3, water people. The first card that comes out is the Huntsman, which this is known as the Justice card. Someday I will figure out how to hold up cards for the camera for you all so that you can see them easily. So we have, first of all, the Huntsman card coming out, trying to find a place of internal integrity, trying to find our balance so that we can move forward with like equanimity and groundedness. And then we also have the 6 of Boons, the 6 of Pentacles, which speaks to our feeling altruistic and allowing what luck we have to kind of spill out from us into the world around us. So this is a very giving, generous energy. And then we also have the Suspension card, which in other decks is known as the Hanged Man. So this is very, very, very interesting. I kind of feel like, here's the flip side of the 6 of Boons, is that sometimes we can give too much. Like, baby bunnies are amazing. Several baby bunnies are amazing. 4,000 baby bunnies is a little bit overwhelming and sometimes just not entirely appropriate. So there is a, with the Six of Pentacles, while it is a very giving card and a very altruistic card, there is, of course, the danger when we are altruistic of being over giving. And so I'm kind of feeling that for you right now, and again, take what resonates and leave the rest, but I kind of feel like perhaps you have been in a place of late where you have realized that you have been overgiving. And so what this has done is it's put you in a place where you have retreated a little bit, where you are trying to reconnect with your own sense of inner integrity, because sometimes when we are overgiving, what that means is we deplete ourselves. And so there isn't a lot of internal integrity that comes up when we are overgiving, because we're not showing up for ourselves, we're only showing up for people. So I feel like maybe something has come of late that has moved you out of this space and had you maybe realize that, it's time for you to take a step back and do some reassessing, reconnecting with yourself. I wonder if some of you have recently gone through a breakup. Or are going through a breakup. And I don't necessarily, that certainly can be with a partner or a spouse or something like that. It can also be with a job. Maybe it was a job that you were giving too much of your energy towards and finally realized it and decided to pull away and decide, like, okay, this isn't working for me. What am I going to do next? Like, really trying to go within and find your own answers. So now we're going to take a look at the predominant energy in your space. Again, either showing up through people, circumstances, and whatnot. We've got the Child of Boons, which that is the Page of Pentacles. So it's like there's some new things, there's some new, whoa, that is a huge pile. There's some new cards coming at, there's some new opportunities kind of coming at you. And then interestingly, we also got the Child of Spells, which is the Page of Wands. So it feels like there's more than one opportunity showing up in your space. Then we also have the Forest Lord, which is the Emperor, the Nine of Spells, Nine of Wands, the Seven of Visions, Seven of Cups, which again also about possibilities, Seven of Spells, again another seven, which is about like uniqueness and trying to find your own uniqueness in a world where sometimes things don't want to foster uniqueness. And then the Three of Pentacles, trying things out and like actually putting in the work. So I feel like the big energy around you is that now that you are in this space where you are trying to restore your internal integrity and come back into a place of internal balance with regards to the giving and receiving of energy. Now that you have moved into that space, it's allowing a lot of opportunities to show up, a lot of opportunities to see things different, a lot of opportunities to have a better idea of boundaries both with ourselves and with others. And, again, the Forest Lord, the Emperor, this is also about boundaries and structure. So there's some childlike energy in that, like, ooh, there's new stuff and I'm not really entirely sure yet. There's a, like, being a student of energies, both with the pentacles, so like, and with the spells. So trying out new things and that are maybe like going to help you step into, I forgot to address the two sevens, step into your unique power and help you get a little bit of clarity over the way things exist in your imagination. So let's see now if we can get some cards for what the dynamic is between those two energies. It's like you're in this very inward space, maybe in a place of, deep healing as a result of circumstances or situations, and this energy outside of you is very much kind of like, oh, look at me and look at all of the places that we can go and look at all the things that can happen. And so we have the two cards, or actually, I want to pull a third one. So let's see what a third card is for the dynamic between you and this energy. And we have the Wide World, the Lovers, and the Weaver of Challenges, which is otherwise known as the Queen of Swords. So I feel like the dynamic between these two energies is that this feels like something that you're trying to get some discernment around. You know, you're trying to get some clarity. You're trying to find, of all of these sevens that are coming up and showing all of these possibilities, it's like you're trying to find the thing that's for you, the thing that is actually going to deeply resonate and feel almost like the other half, kind of, in a way, and like allowing this cycle of not knowing to end. So I feel like I haven't done this with other decks, but I almost want to pull a clarifier, because with the Weaver of Challenges and with the Lovers card, like you can even tell, like just here, if you look at the colorscapes of these two cards, like, oh, and maybe that's it, is that like, okay, yeah, so while you are in this place of healing and suspension and the Hanged Man and all of that, there's all of this energy showing up around you that's like calling you to look at different things or maybe try different things. And it's both making you feel like you want to move forward into those places of growth where things are green and we have new opportunities and there's new contracts that we can write. And then there's also this other part of you that is waffling and is like, that's a lot of feel-good stuff, and yeah, that's fine, but I'm not so sure I trust it, because she is not a very trusting person. She is really all about finding the objective truth, which is great, but sometimes she forgets that we need warmth and greenness and growth around us, and that it's not about just finding the singular answer to truth once. It's allowing us to find a grain of truth and then creating the environment where we can build on that and allow it to flourish. So I wonder if I'm kind of feeling like in your space right now, we are, you know, as you've kind of got these two conflicting energies, this one that is very still and contemplative and, you know, almost like withdrawn, like there's a withdrawn, you're kind of showing up as being pretty withdrawn right now, and there's lots of things kind of knocking on your energy, being like, time to come out and play, look at all the new things that can happen now that you've come to an awareness of yourself, and this propensity for perhaps overgiving, or, you know, maybe showing up in codependent relationships. Now that you've gotten this awareness, that of course opens up a whole nother lot of opportunities, and I feel like maybe you're conflicted about it. Part of you wants to embrace that. Part of you also recognizes that you've been burned before. And so there's some fear and some maybe limited thinking wrapped up around that. So actually, I guess I'm not even going to pull a clarifier card, because I feel like that's it. I feel like we got there without it, friends. So now we are going to pull some cards from your guides so that they can just give us a little advice and see how, if there's anything that they would like to call your attention to that would maybe help you navigate these two very different energies in a way that is going to be to your best and highest benefit. So some advice from our guides for our water babies. And first we have the Weaver of Boons. This is the Queen of Pentacles. She is very grounded in reality. So I guess, you know, like one thing to always keep in mind here is that like when we are in a place where we've sort of withdrawn from the world so that we could heal and kind of reconnect with ourselves and get an understanding of who we are and how we are based on new information, it can, dang, I forgot exactly where I was going to go with that. But it's like once we're in that place and then things are kind of showing up, it can feel kind of scary. And like, especially if we are a type, if any of y'all are into Enneagram, check that stuff out. But if one of the withdrawn Enneagram types shows up in our personal system, then it can be like a defense mechanism to withdraw. And so your guides are saying, hey, yeah, we understand that that is a defense mechanism and there's a time and place for that, but also it's important to show up. It's important to actually do things out in the world, because that is part of healing too, even when it feels scary. So some more cards, advice from our guides. Yeah, and you know, it doesn't even necessarily need to be like it's not just about connecting with people or connecting with certain kinds of people. Like this card also, you know, it almost always has a like there's some aspect of homeness to it, and having abundance in the home and how that can be very healing. So it could also be like taking care of plants or taking care of animals might be the thing that makes us feel grounded and makes us feel a little bit more safe in doing vulnerable things. So there's a lot of self-care wrapped up in the Queen of Pentacles. And a couple more cards here. We have the 8 of Challenges and the 5 of Spells. And this makes a lot of sense. So like when we're in a place where we're trying to shift things or like new information, maybe something, you know, a dynamic that we continually engage in comes up and it's shown to us, it can make us feel very like it's never going to change. I'm always going to be this way. I'm always going to be stuck amongst these thorns. And it's very, like there's some anguish that can come with gaining new levels of awareness of ourselves. And that can also sometimes, oops, wrong card, that can also sometimes bring up feelings of rivalry or feeling like competitiveness or like that sort of feeling of like, I'm not doing it right, I'm not doing it enough, look at how far else everybody my age is ahead of me. Like there's a lot of self-criticism that can come up. And it's funny because I've noticed this in my own personal kind of healing journey, is that I will get to a point where I'm ready to push forward on some stuff that's scary for me. And then I will do it, and then there's like an energetic backlash where it's almost like a vulnerability hangover, and it sometimes the perception when that happens is that, oh, I'm just moving backwards again, I'm just moving backwards. And it's like, no, this is just the system recalibrating to the forward movement that you've made. And it can be pretty self-limiting. But here's the thing about blackberry bushes is that they also make really delicious fruit. And so even though they do have some sharp thorns, with enough time, with the right amount of care and patience and paying attention, we can also yield fruit from those things. So if we're finding, especially since this is the challenges, says with the swords, if we are finding in the way that we think about things that we are very self-limiting and self-denying and just really talking down on ourselves internally in a lot of ways, then that can be really important to know and to pay attention to, because once we are aware that we're doing that, we can start to try and pull back and be like, oh, I should have done this thing. I should have done this thing. God damn it. Why didn't I do that thing? I'm such a loser. And instead of doing that, when we can catch ourselves doing that, then we can be like, okay, well, I didn't do that thing, and now I'm having these feelings and thoughts about it. So maybe the next time something similar comes up, I will remember that and allow myself to move forward. So we're both seeing where we are now and giving ourselves permission in the future to be different and to change and to become ourselves. So, or become even more our best selves, I guess. And so they're really, you know, we can take those, allow those thoughts that are helpful to blossom. And so that when the next time a similar situation turns around, you can just pluck that blackberry and eat it all up nice and yummy. I don't know if that's a very apt metaphor, but we're just going to go with it. And before we send you on your way, we are going to pull some oracle cards with some final messages from your guides. And for a moon card, we have luck is in your side. New moon in Sagittarius. That is pretty terrific. And I think also, didn't we have, did that card come up? No, I guess it didn't. Oh, yes, it did. No, it didn't. I'm sorry. Ignore what I was about to say. But luck is on your side. So you are doing the healing. I think that sometimes it can be a matter of trusting a little bit and being willing to have a belief that luck can be on our side. So if our guides are telling us that, then maybe that's important for us to remember particularly if we do find that we're getting into a place of that very like thought looping on those self-limiting beliefs. We also have pause, which is again just kind of going back to, I feel like you're already doing this. So your guides are reiterating that you're doing the right thing by allowing yourself to withdraw for the purpose of recalibrating. Yeah, your guides are thinking that that's a good idea. Like whatever situation or circumstance that led you up to that was basically for you to get this new awareness, for you to be able to stop and integrate this new awareness into yourself. Next, we're going to pull a Sufi Oracle Wisdom card. And we have here, Drunk with Love. Let love lift you to freedom. And I think that is really inviting you, again, just reiterating that this connecting with yourself that you're doing is the right thing for you to do. Like when we get disconnected from ourselves, it can be painful without us even knowing it. You know, like it can have a detrimental effect on us without us even being aware of it, until suddenly that moment we are made aware of it, and then we look back and we're like, oh, that's what I let happen there. That's what I let happen there. I see it. And so this is an invitation for you to, fall in love with yourself and be your own best friend. Always have your own back, and make sure that, you know, next time you are in a position where you are able to be very altruistic and giving, that you do that only to the amount that you are actually capable of doing it, and not over giving to the point where you yourself are depleted. And one final card, we're going to pull an Animal Oracle card before we send you on your way, water babies. And that is, speaking of water, we have the Electric Eel Spirit, bringing ideas to life. So I really like that, because your guides are saying, hey, it's good that you're taking a pause right now, but with regards to all of these different opportunities the world is showing you, this is an opportunity during this pause for you to set your intentions and have something that you definitively want to be moving towards. So I hope you found this helpful, Group 3 water babies. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you'd like to share your story or leave a comment, of course, I'd love to hear from you. Always, please don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourself, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Next, we're gonna do fire. Group 4, my fire friends, if you selected the element of fire for this week's reading, then this, in fact, is the reading for you. And what we're going to be doing here is, I wonder if you just heard my tummy grumble. We are going to be looking at your current energy. We're going to be looking at the predominant energy around you, which can be showing up through people, circumstances, or situations. Then we're going to look at the dynamic between those two energies and get some advice from our guides, both from Tarot and Oracle. So having said that, let's just go ahead and dive right in here. And again, we're going to start off with your energy. So what is the current energy of our fire friends? We have that is so weird. This card also came out for Group 3. I wonder if there's a lot of cross watchers or people watching more than one, because there is some similar energy showing up here. We also have the Lovers and the Child of Challenges, which is otherwise known as the Page of Swords. So that is pretty interesting. I feel like you're in a place of learning. You're in a place of learning right now, and you're also in a place of connecting and learning how to take what you've learned and pay it back out into the world. It's interesting with this Two of Visions, this Two of Cups coming up here. While this certainly can speak to relationships with people outside of us, I really feel like within the greater context here, you have been in a place where you are sort of integrating the two different aspects of you, the two different aspects of you for the purpose of learning how to better manage that give and take. Like, I do feel like you're already in a place where you've done a lot of learning on that. It's funny, group 3, the water babies, those cards, the 6 here came out along with a couple of other cards that sort of led me to the place, or to an understanding that they are currently in that place of withdrawing for the purpose of having a better understanding and relationship with that energy of giving and taking. But I kind of feel here, especially with the 2 also being a card of balance, that you've already done a lot of work around that. You've already allowed yourself to kind of become the student and have a bit more mastery over the way that you think about things, and have already done quite a bit to bring that back into balance. Let's see what the current energy showing up around you is. And we have the White Heart, which is the Fool. We have the Folly, which is the Tower. Interesting. Intense energy. 7 of Boons, 7 of Pentacles, 5 of Challenges, 5 of Swords, and then the Ace of Challenges. So it's funny, I feel like you're actually in a pretty stable place, or you have been in a pretty stable place, but this energy that's showing up in your space is not that it's bad, it's just a lot, and it's intense. There's new thoughts about things. There's trying to come to a place where you're not at conflict. There is that feeling of new opportunities and maybe need to reassess before we decide our next step. And then these two, which these are the big honkers. So we have both the Fool and the Tower card. So it's like things that are outside of your control have kind of maybe shifted a lot, and that is something that has been both difficult and challenging, but is also, again, opening up new opportunities for you. So I feel like because there has been this big shift, it's causing a lot of like internal turmoil, but it's also presenting maybe a lot of new opportunities for you, both in terms of the way that we think about things and in terms of actually what we do and different opportunities that we take, new jobs, new situations, leaps of faith, so to speak. So the dynamic between those two is, the first card that came out is the Lovers. So you are, on some level, you are wanting this. You and this energy are actually, it's a pretty solid match. It really is. Like, you're in a place of stability. There's all this change happening, and the fact that you're in this place of stability actually makes it a lot easier or relative stability. I'm sure some of you are like, what? I don't really feel that stable. I'm a hot mess sometimes. So it's relative, of course, and we are all hot messes sometimes. We also have the 3 of Pentacles showing up here, like putting in the work and putting your work out there. So, this is very auspicious. And then the Seeker of Challenges, getting to the truth of things. And he also is pretty quick moving. So I kind of feel like maybe the current energy is that, like, while you've been in this place of stability and healing, like things kind of behind the scenes and in your place have been showing you some opportunities to really shift things and make some leaps of faith. And like overall, I kind of feel like you want to, although there may be some fear around the speed at which it's moving. And that would make sense. So next we're going to get some tarot advice from your guides on, okay, so you're in this place where there's these 2 pretty different energies that are opening up some doors. It's looking like you really do want to move forward with it, like you want to manifest that shit, like you want to merge with this new energy and allow these opportunities and this new vibrance and these new ideas to flourish. And So guides first are saying 6 of swords, 6 of challenges, and that is saying that, you know, sometimes you just need to get out of the way while the chips fall where they may. So your guides are maybe inviting you to temper the speed at which you move, and because, you know, towers are a lot of big energy, to kind of like take your time with this. And yeah, totally. So we've also got the Keeper of Visions, which is the King of Cups. We also have the Green Mother, which is the Empress card, and then in addition to that, 6 of Challenges, which I've already showed you. So your guides they're like, yeah, it's amazing that you want to move forward with this energy, that you want to take advantage of these new opportunities. It's going to yield a lot of growth, a lot of opportunities, a lot more healing, emotional healing, and both healing of the inner child will come from you moving into this new space, or integrating this new energy into yours. But that also, you know, they are kind of inviting you to let the chips fall first, to not make any super fast movements, because this is important, deep stuff, and sometimes those are things that we don't want to rush. And when when the universe is in a situation where they're presenting us with a lot of opportunities and encouraging us to take that leap of faith, sometimes we may want to rush in, and we would be best served by instead being a little bit more placid and a little bit more slow and intentional with the way that we approach that. So next and finally, we are going to pull a round of oracle cards and get some final messages for you from your guides. We're going to start off with the moon. Pulling moon oracle card for group 4, the fire friends. And we have here, having faith in your dreams, waxing crescent moon. So yeah, again, this is like waxing crescents. So waxing means that it's getting bigger. And so when it's a crescent and it's waxing, it means that it's pretty new. So there is some new stuff here, and like, this is just the beginning. So like, having faith in it is going to be the first part. Like, you are moving forward, even if you're not being encouraged to like run headlong off of that cliff. You are being encouraged to move forward and to have faith in the dreams that you're building. Next, we're gonna pull a nature scenes card. Let's see what their final advice is for you. And that is the make a decision. So I guess that's a really important nuance. I'm glad that this card came out, because especially since your guides are inviting you to not be super impulsive, that's not the same thing as not making a decision. So it's not that they're asking you to hold off on making a choice. They are just asking that when you do make a decision, that you move forward with intention and with mindfulness. So they're not asking you to not choose. They're just saying that when you are talking about action steps, then you know, like, making the decision is one thing, but then taking action on it is another. So you are being encouraged to move forward with taking some advantage of these new opportunities that are coming at you, and to make a choice about them, but again, just not like running headlong into them. Like, making a decision about what we're going to do and then doing it are two different things. So it's like a multi-stage process. Oh, and I just totally dropped those cards. I'll be right back. And we have a couple of oracle cards here. We have Dawn of Love. Love it is rising on the horizon in your life. And I think that's also interesting that the dynamic between the two energies that showed up is the Lovers, which is of course all about love and all about sort of merging two different energies into a fruitful and beneficial singular. And then we also have the facing your fears. Farewell to fear phantoms. And I think that is, I mean, I think maybe that's one of the reasons why we're being encouraged to not move too fast towards these new things, is that, particularly if we've come out of a place of just healing and then we're moving into some new stuff and some new opportunities, it is probably going to trigger some fear response to come up, because new things can create some fear because they are new and they are unknown. So your guides are inviting you to, with intention and with mindfulness, step forward with making the decisions in a way that will allow you to face your fears, but not moving so fast that we are tempted to either backtrack or become avoidant of facing those fears, because it becomes too overwhelming. And one final card, we've got an animal oracle before we send y'all on your way, and that is the antelope spirit. Life is speeding up, and I feel like especially with that Tower card coming in, that is absolutely the case. And so, yeah, this is going to be an interesting juxtaposition, because on the one hand, there's lots of opportunities showing up around you. You're being encouraged to get in touch with those opportunities and to make some decisions about which ways that you want to move forward. But you're also being invited to, and you're being made aware of the fact that, things are culminating, but you're also being invited to, even as life speeds up around you, for you to maintain your space and your intentions and your mindfulness as you make these steps forward. So, Fire friends, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for tuning in. I don't know if that's the right language, but you know what I mean. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you. And as always, please be kind with yourself. Please be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.